Hi, I'm LadyJenevia. Let's talk about Gen V. We now have the premiere of season 1 consisting of 3 episodes, and I've made this point before, but I would like to reiterate the fact that more streaming companies, especially Netflix, need to learn from Prime Video's model. Dumping your entire season out in one go is bad. You cannot keep the public's attention for as long if you don't hook them in and make them keep coming back week after week to see what's coming next in the story. But also, giving 3 episodes in a premiere is a good way to give the audience a larger glimpse of what the show is actually going to be. So if they can at least watch those first 3 episodes, they will have a good idea of whether or not they will want to keep tuning in on a weekly basis. Before we get into more of the episodic specifics of these first 3 episodes, I would like to remind everyone to subscribe to my channel since I will be doing weekly coverage of Gen V. I am pre-recording these first couple of reviews that I will be publishing about the series because I will be otherwise preoccupied offline and unable to work on new reviews of the show, at least until early October. Probably sometime after the airing of episode 4 is when I can start resuming recording new reviews and maybe putting together some video essays as well. We will have to wait and see. Additionally, at the time of recording this review, the joint SAG and WGA strikes are still going on, so as always, donation links will be in the pinned comment. If an agreement is met before this video gets published, I will instead put some other videos of mine in the pinned comment for you to check out.
Have we started already?
We're going to go through things one episode at a time, simply for the sake of organization. I will not be going over every single plot detail, partially because I'm pressed for time, but I'd like to pluck out a couple of points, and if there's anything further you would like to discuss, I will try to respond to comments when I can. I believe I will be on a flight when this video gets published, so I will not be able to respond to them right away, but I will look at them eventually. I love the opening of Gen V. It's very reminiscent of the adolescent body horror of something like Ginger Snaps or Carrie, but it also exists in a way that's a parallel to the beginning of Gen V's parent show, The Boys. When The Boys premiered, one of the first things that we saw was Huey bearing witness to his girlfriend Robin's violent demise when A train ran through her. In the case of Marie in Gen V, she has a late onset of her powers. She did not know that she had powers. She didn't know what those powers were or how to use them. And the fear and anxiety of her body changing in more ways than one is heightened because we're in this world where people have powers and there's no shortage of violence, even if unintentional. I also like that during that opening sequence, they drew a line to A-Train joining the Seven and being the first Black member of the Seven, because it's a reminder of how Vought as a corporation looks at people's identifying demographics through this gross lens of whether or not they can profit off of those demographics. It's an intriguing juxtaposition to how the audience sees the characters in this world through the lens of empathy and humanity. But it also made me wonder, wasn't Black Noir the first Black member of the Seven? We might as well talk about Golden Boy a bit, since this is the only time we see him alive unless it's a flashback.
Oh, she passed away? Oh. All right.
I will admit my expectations of him as a character were low when he was first introduced. Just on a conceptual level, I found him to be generic and more like an archetype than a character. But upon rewatching the premiere, I actually really like what they did with his character. When he has that scene with Professor Brink where he has one expression when he's not facing Brink, but then he changes that expression when he turns around to face him. I'm not going to spoil anything specific, but I will simply say that when you've seen more episodes of this season, you will have a whole new understanding of what's really going through his head there in that moment. Furthermore, when he's speaking with Marie and they're having this surprisingly sweet and earnest moment, you really understand what's happening in that exchange more once you've made it further into season 1. That is definitely a consistent compliment I have about the shows in this universe thus far. They really lend themselves to rewatchability. When I was preparing my first review, the one that I already published before any of the episodes had been released to the public, I so badly wanted to mention a trigger warning about Emma's powers and what she has to do in order to be able to shrink herself, but I kid you not, that specific plot point was on the list of do not reveal, so I simply was not allowed to bring it up. In case you're watching this video though, without having watched the premiere of the show, I will say the specifics, which is that she has to purge to be able to make herself shrink. So part of her storyline is being presented as an allegory for having an ED. It's not exactly a one-to-one comparison, of course, but certain conversations she has with certain characters are where that commentary becomes more apparent. I have to say though, her having a YouTube channel and just sitting there looking at hate comments, she needs to not. Trust me, I would know. It's not good for your mental health. Nothing good comes from looking through your hate comments. Just report, delete, block, or have your mods take care of it. Actually, if she has over 1 million subscribers, she would definitely have the means to outsource that labor. It's always funny to me when traditional media tries to reference online media like that, because on the one hand, they demonstrated that they know about a certain YouTuber's scandals, but on the other hand, certain details just come across like there is still that gap in the frame of reference of the people who are making the show. That hookup scene with What's-His-Face, though, maybe this is a hot take, but that was more horrifying for me to watch than the sneeze incident on the main Boys series. I need that guy to meet a violent end on this show, and you can make him go slowly. When Professor Brink told Marie she was expelled, I was shocked. I mean, as soon as he said it, I went, no, yeah, that makes sense because this is textbook Vought behavior. But still, I was just riding the hype train of Marie having this moment to learn something new about what she can do with her powers and how she can help to save someone's life and not just have it be something that she uses to enact violence. I won't even pretend like I'm not biased. By the way, right now, at this moment in time, Marie and Emma, those are my girls. I love them. And if anyone tries to hurt them, they're on my list of enemies. It's really that simple. I love whenever they're able to have these really sweet moments of connecting as friends. Marie has just lost so much. So for her to be able to end up with a roommate like Emma, who is such a positive light, I adore seeing Emma encourage Marie to get herself out there and to socialize. It's a positive way of pushing Marie out of her comfort zone just enough so she can grow and experience new things. And with Marie having lost her family, I love the idea that Emma can be the first person in Marie's chosen family. The end of episode 1 is so great though. It might sound like I'm picking on Golden Boy and that I don't like him when I say that I love that he's dead now, but I don't mean it with malice. I just love it for all the drama that it brings and also because of the role that death has in the larger story of season 1. It serves as a catalyst for these other main characters to embark on uncovering mysteries about him, his death, the school itself, and what the heck are the woods? Moving on to episode 2, I love that the top 10 ranking has this veil lifted off of it, at least to the audience, so we can see just how much strategy goes into making that list. It's not actually based on legitimate merits, it's just like Hollywood's award show season. The interviews Marie does, they aren't even real, they're all scripted, which sounds a lot like mainstream entertainment media to me. Do you know what was really tea though? The fact that PJ Byrne's character, the director we saw on The Boys, the fact that he is said to now be in director's jail because he exposed himself to an actress, and now he's teaching young students at a school? So we're definitely still calling out good old show business, I see. I mean, you already called out Joss Whedon by name. You might as well say something about the total lack of accountability for predatory men in show business, especially after the abysmal lineup of this year's Venice Film Festival. Ugh. One of the things that episode 2 starts to lay the groundwork for is how predatory the faculty in general are at the school. Not necessarily in that way, but Marie telling Dean Shetty about how she wants to find her sister, and then all of a sudden it's just conveniently brought up by this reporter that's going to interview her.
That's suspicious.
And Jordan being so insistent on defending Professor Brink simply because he was the only one nice to them without expressing direct judgment about their being by gender. What we're establishing here is a pattern where all of these students are in emotionally and psychologically vulnerable places. They confide in these faculty because teachers are supposed to be trustworthy, but this is basically Vought University. So all of these faculty, they're up to no good.
But I knew who they were, and I told her who they were. Shitheads.
The only people these students can trust is each other, except when they can't. That girl whose name I can never remember right now, who ratted on Emma, who told such a deeply personal thing about Emma's powers to the entire world, because that's what posting on YouTube is. I can't quite tell what they're going for with her on this show. They made a point of showing that she did feel bad when seeing Emma was as upset as she was, but she's also far too interested right now in this vapid performative social media thing since she's trying to film her apology to Emma. I think that they have ideas to potentially develop her further as a character, depending on if the show is renewed and if that actress is still available to film during a season 2. They definitely could develop her. If you remember, A-Train was not exactly a likable character in season 1 of The Boys, but now that we've made it through season 3, I actually think we're starting to see a better trajectory for him. One where he finds redemption. Either that or this girl will meet some sort of gruesome death and the audience can go, well, that's what you get for hurting Emma. That's karma. You never really know which way these things will go in this universe. There's usually violence involved. When Marie did that interview and she cracked under the jolt of having her sister brought up in that way and then she stayed on script instead of going off of it, I think the story wouldn't be as compelling and neither would the characters if they had just a very linear path of development. It makes more sense for them to make mistakes and stumble on their respective heroes' journeys, particularly since they're all younger, less experienced, and for a character like Marie, she's really been lacking in the type of knowledge that would come from growing up in the environment more of her peers have. Remember that even in episode 1, she did not know a lot of references because she doesn't even have a mobile phone at that point. She's having to play catch up and strengthen those types of instincts about how to read people and figure out who's trustworthy. Similarly, for a character like Kate, I like that we're seeing limitations to her power and that there is a physical toll that her power takes on her, specifically because sometimes if you have superheroes that are too powerful, what ends up happening is you always have to amplify the scale of the foe and the story itself, and that's the only way the stakes will make sense in a story. There needs to be a challenge for the heroes, and in this case, for Kate, the challenge is her power itself and being able to use it. She really has to be selective about what she uses her power for and when. Final point for episode 2, we finally got more of a glimpse at Sam. You also saw him in episode 1, but at that point, you might not even realize that he's going to be one of the main characters on the show, and you definitely don't know at that point that he's Golden Boy's brother. We might as well jump ahead to episode 3 now, where we see Sam being visited by his brother and Kate at Sage Grove Center. It's only a flashback, of course, but it gives us more of a glimpse at Sam, of who he is, what he's struggling with, as well as the love his brother had for him. I'm glad that Emma and Marie have had a bit of a breakthrough in the sense that they're digging into some of the more personal parts of themselves so that when they get through that argument, it will deepen their friendship since they will be able to go to one another if they're struggling with something like that again. One of the themes of this episode really does feel like parental trauma or family trauma. Obviously, we already knew that Marie's got a ton of baggage with her family situation, but she's now being made to parade herself around for potential donors to the school, and she's lying about her family. And then we get the paralleled having drama with my parents moments, all satisfying to watch in their own way. For Emma, though, I really love that she found the strength to stand up to her mother after she reconciled with Marie, and Marie really hyped her up during that exchange. Marie showing that genuine emotional support was really all the boost Emma needed to go embarrass her mother by exposing her for being a terrible person. And I love that for them, as my favorite friendship duo on this show. Speaking of friendship duos, though, I love that Andre sought Emma out. He let her in on this massive secret despite having just met her, and he asked her for help. And even more so, I love that she was completely up for it because it tells you a lot about who these characters are, and it progresses the story towards building more of the interconnectivity in what has yet to fully coagulate into a friendship group / superhero team. And when Andre mentions the lab to his father, ooh, I was living for the drama of the fact that his father already knows about it. And the fact that despite the way he carries himself sometimes of being overly concerned with status, you can see that he really loves his son and he's worried about Andre's safety. And I love loved the filmmaking for that moment of these extreme close-ups, the terror in his eyes, and the way he just immediately snaps back to this performative Stepfordian mask. Gen V is serving me drama. I really hope we get more father-son scenes between Andre and his father, because there's so much more to unpack there. I feel like his father will probably die if he ever tries to do something really heroic to help or save Andre. This is just that type of show. Do you know what I mean? They will try to hurt us emotionally. And don't even get me started on Kate's family baggage, but you see what's happening here, right? We've got a bunch of wounded little birds that are going to nestle together and become their own little cluster, like it's a Sense8 series or something. But now I just want to talk about the pairing that I have been wanting to talk about since I first watched my Gen V screeners. Emma and Sam, oh my God, I have a new ship. You know, when they first started talking to each other, I was thinking, oh, they're really cute and sweet together. And I had this gut feeling where I was just thinking, romance? Romance? Incoming romance. And then he called her pretty, and he called her brave, and he put her up on the shelf so that she would be safe from being electrocuted. And then she reciprocated. She saved him by murdering a prison guard by running through this man's ear canal. I can't think of a better beginning to a new ship for me to ship in this demented TV universe. And already the ship is about equality. It's about balance. You don't need to be the boy or regular human size to save the person who's about to be the love of your life. I'm here for all of this. Also, I'm so curious about whether or not these actors did a chemistry read with each other, or if they just found that they hit it off once they started working together. Because of what I'm saying is these two have flow. Flow is flow. Anyway, those are some of my thoughts on the triple episode premiere of Gen V, the spinoff of The Boys. Let me know in the comments what you think of the show. And stay tuned for more coverage of the show. New videos will be coming every week. And if Sam and Emma get a ship name, you better let me know what it is, because I don't know if I'll be made aware of it right away. I try not to be on Twitter too much anymore because it's not fun.
No. Undo that.
But maybe I will make an exception for them. If there's any good fan cams out there, just tag me in them, all right?
Remember, no tiny action hero shit.
Get it, got it, good.
Sweet Jesus.